Hey everyone! I've created a new channel to explore even more amazing stories, which will also serve as a backup channel. I love to have you all in joining me on this new adventure. Channel link is in the description. Now back to the recap. Ugwell Women's Prison earned the nickname, Resort of the Rich, for being the most luxurious private prison in Ragwan, renowned for its opulent facilities. The buildings underwent renovations every 6 months, ensuring a constantly pleasant environment. Prisoners, despite their confinement, experienced a life of comfort with lavish amenities. In other words, being admitted to Ugwell, with its top-notch facilities, meant these women were so mentally disturbed that no amount of money could secure their freedom. Shushu thought, "I wonder if it will bear fruit this year." Minicat came and said, "Stop talking to that plant. You're going to drown it. You've been watering it for 20 minutes. Shushu replied, "It's not going to die." Minicat asked, "Is Mickey growing well? Do you enjoy hanging out with Mickey behind my back?" Shushu asked, "How can you say that about a tomato plant?" Minicat replied in a tone that sounded like a jealous wife obsessed with tomatoes, "I want to kiss you. Close your eyes." Shushu asked, "Why'd I always have to close my eyes?" She thought, within the walls of Ugwell Prison, there exists a notorious inmate named Minicat, and I am her prison wife. Since becoming Minicat's prison wife, life behind bars has undoubtedly become more comfortable. Sometimes, I have strange dreams about Minicat in a man's body, dreams where we're calling to each other until our bodies get sticky. Minicat told her, "If you don't close your eyes, you will get burned." A few weeks ago, Shushu woke up and thought, "It's already 10 o'clock, was I that tired to have overslept?" When she was going downstairs, Edwin came and grabbed her, saying, "I got you, good morning." Shushu asked, "When did you get here?" Edwin replied, "You were sleeping so soundly, I couldn't wake you up. You mentioned you had a meeting scheduled today. I made coffee with chocolate syrup for you, young lady." Shushu replied, "But calling me a young lady, you're also now the master of a family." Edwin said, "Calling me a master, how disappointing after all we've been through together." Shushu replied, "You are now officially family successor. You shouldn't keep coming to my house like this." Edwin said, "Don't say that. How can I stay away when Lady Gonelli is still like that?" Shushu thought, "Gonelli has been isolated for months due to the shock of losing her husband. I always asked her to open the door, but Mom didn't open it, and she said she would take care of herself." After that, Edwin said, "Have fun at your meeting." Shushu replied, "Thanks, I'll be back soon." Edwin watched her, and after some time, Shushu thought, just like Edwin said, "I had fun at the meeting." In the next scene, she thought, "The door is open." In the next moment, she was shocked. She had been so happy all day. That was, until this happened. Further back in time, a lady spoke, "If I were you, I would not even consider another man besides Edwin. A hot-blooded man and woman living together. It makes no sense that nothing has happened between you two." Shushu replied, "We are not living together because we want to. There is really nothing going on between us." Then she thought, Edwin succeeded Gonelli Meili as chief scientist and as the successor of the Isadok family. If not for the frightful incident that happened when I was a child and had to move to their home, we would never have gotten close. Then she overheard a conversation between some other girls. One of them said, "She lives with the young master of the Isadok family. I thought she would at least get a higher rank, but she's not even in the rankings. Doesn't that make her a disgrace to her household?" Shushu thought, "Since I could not be like my mother, I at least tried my best not to have people point their fingers at me for being a failure, but why?" In the next scene, Edwin said, "This is a bond of debt. You borrowed money from Elma Hope." Shushu said, "That's impossible." Edwin replied, "It has your handwriting and signature on it. There is too much solid evidence against you. If you don't confess to your crime, you will face a severe penalty. It would be better for you to admit to your crimes and withdraw your appeal." Shushu said, "But I did not kill Elma." Edwin told her, "I trust you, so please wait a little longer in there. I will make sure to find the real criminal, and you will be acquitted soon enough." After that, the judge stated, "The court sentences Shushu, on the charges of manslaughter, to 5 years in prison." Edwin was smiling. On the other hand, in the area 452 Underground Market, a person asked, "Do you need something?" A lady replied, "A criminal ID and an imprisonment warrant." one that will last for 5 years. Please add mental illness to the life imprisonment sentence for the person behind us, the other lady asked, but were these made correctly? They keep wobbling whenever I walk. Minicat replied, just think of them as balls or something. I guess you wouldn't know how that feels since yours aren't big enough. The first one asked, what do you mean by that? I used to flush the toilet with my thing. The other lady asked, are you going to show it to us? In the next scene, Shushu arrived at the Ugwell prison. After that, the officer said, this is your room, get in. Shushu thought, rather than a prison cell, it's more like a dorm. Then she said, wait, what about my life here and what I have to do? Aren't you going to explain it to me? The officer replied, your seniors here are in charge of teaching the new inmates. That's how it is, even if you don't like it. Shushu thought, cabbage? Minicat spoke, why are you taking your clothes off? Shushu replied, I am not taking my clothes off. Then thought, Minicat. That's not her real name. Minicat said, what a shame, I was looking forward to it. Shushu thought, she doesn't seem like it at all. Well, I don't know about the mini part, but she does look like a pretty cat. The next moment, Mary and her gang entered the cell. Mary said, I guess the new inmate in cell 2007 must be dragging around some heavy bottoms. It didn't show at all during the workout session. Shushu replied, I'm sorry, but who? They all started laughing. Then Mary said, I'm from cell 200. Here, we go by nicknames instead of real names, just like you were, Cabbage. To be honest, I was excited to come here. I heard there was a beauty in the prison. Of course, you're cute, but it's not something that can be considered out of the ordinary, don't you think? Shushu thought, if she's looking for a cutie, Mary said, your roommate seems to be hiding from us. Has she lost her mind? Or perhaps she just doesn't respect us? Shushu replied, I don't know, I just met her too. Minicat came out from under the blanket. Shushu thought, did I put on the same dumb face earlier when I saw her? Mary spoke, you must be the beautiful woman I heard about. Nice to meet you. Minicat ignored her. Mary continued, as you heard before, you can call me Mary. I'm the leader from cell 200. Because of that, if you get close to me, life here will be much easier for you. I was trying to be nice since you're new, but are you really going to ignore me like that? The next moment, Minicat professionally grabbed her and threw her out the window. Shushu thought, she threw her, but we're on the 3rd floor. Shushu called out, don't leave me here with this crazy woman. Minicat asked, so, you're Cabbage, right? I'll be counting on you, sweetie. In the next scene, Shushu thought, Minicat, she is such trash. I was assigned to peel onions 2 weeks ago. After Mary was thrown out the window, one after another, prisoners came to scold Minicat. Of course, she fed them some fists. After that, a lady who was beaten by Minicat came and asked, so, you're on the same team as that crazy bitch? Shushu replied, no, I'm not. A guard came and asked, over there, why are you so nice? Shushu thought, it's really true that there's a guard every time we get hit, but I will be killed one day. I'm working hard because of Minicat, and she knows it but pretends not to. We used to have to peel onions together. I really have to say something today. After some time, Shushu overheard the ladies saying that Minicat is a foreign criminal and also a Euspolian. Shushu thought, an unrecognized nation by Rogwan, developed based on magic, Euspolia. More than a decade ago, when a fire broke out in the Isidok family, it was also the place involved in the incident. How could you have the guts to ask the crazy Euspolian foreigner to peel onions together, when she has fought alone against 18? A guard came and told her, you have a visitor. After that, Edwin spoke, you are so skinny. Shushu thought, is it so strange that I'm losing weight while in prison? Then she said, but I think you look worse. Edwin replied, you're in such a place. How could I be well seeing you like this in prison? Shushu replied, don't cry. I'm getting used to living here. Edwin said, I'm sorry. I know it's painful, but hold on a little longer. Shushu replied, then don't come here. If I get caught up in gossip because of you coming here, in the eyes of the others, Edwin stated, you don't need to worry about that. In the next scene, Edwin said, you won't stand out. I bought all of Ugwell's one-day visitations. Can you believe it? Shushu told him, don't cry, and I whimpered. Limmel replied, that's a moment for the professor's special training time. Edwin spoke, yes, not blinking for 5 seconds, and pressing the center of the eyelid with the curve of the back of the hand. It was perfect. But I feel sad when I see her looking so thin, the shoo that only I can see is cute, as expected. I'm worried about her. Limmel asked, if you're so worried, wouldn't it have been better if you hadn't sent her to prison in the first place? A few months ago, Elma asked, are you really paying off all my debt? Edwin replied, of course, I'm giving it to you to live a new life if you just do a few things I ask you to do. Then he said, I had no other choice. If the innocent shoo found a lover there, I couldn't hold it in. I think I would cut that person into pieces. After that, Shoo was having a dream in which a person said, I have to call for her, she will return when your blood and flesh become ash. Suddenly, she woke up and screamed, then thought, a dream? What kind of dream was that? I'm thirsty. Then she said, Minicat. Minicat replied, what? Shoo asked, I just wanted to know why you're awake at this time. Minicat replied, I was sleeping pretty well until I heard a certain shoo screaming. Shoo responded, sorry. Minicat asked, what were you dreaming about? I'm just curious, what kind of dream had you wailing like an animal? Shoo replied, just a dream about me getting burned alive. Minicat said, that probably felt like shit. Shoo thought, should I ask now? They say well begun is half done. Anyway, then she said, I have a request. You know we have woodworking tomorrow. It's pretty difficult to assemble a desk and chair all alone. Wouldn't it be nice if we worked on them together? Then she thought, should I not have said that? Did she mention turning me into a desk and a bench? Minicat replied, check under the pillow. Shoo asked, why is there water here? Minicat responded, sometimes I become kind when I see something foolish, but remember that kindness without a price is rare. After that, Shoo thought, I'm not drinking it. The next morning, Shoo thought, kindness, what a load of bull. She really didn't come. Sugar said, I happened to hear that Rosemary from cell 301 needed something like a weapon. She'll be happy if I leave this hammer in her room. Jackie replied, sounds good. When the guards start looking for the hammer, I'll tell them to search her mattress first. Shoo thought, both of them, the prisoners in room 206, are the most problematic after Minicat. The only two people who don't hate or fear her are the ones I talk to in this prison. Sugar asked, how's it like being Minicat's voodoo doll? Shoo replied, the day before yesterday, another inmate almost beat me up with a blanket. Jackie said, I know one way to get out of this situation. Shoo asked, really, what is it? Jackie told her, becoming Minicat's prison wife. I told you it was shitty. Shoo asked, who's going to officiate the wedding ceremony? Then, Jackie replied, listen closely, a prison wife is basically a prison love partner. Shoo asked, but we're both women. Jackie replied, there are people in this world that are in love with mailboxes, so if you want to live, you have to be more attractive than a mailbox to Minicat. The bluebird from Block A, room 104, is out for you. In the next scene, Bluebird spoke, so come up with a better experience, because I'll scar your face. Shoo remembered Jackie telling her about an overseas criminal, Olhelm, who was caught taking drugs while driving. She's the daughter of one of their nation's Senate members. Bluebird got dumped by Minicat and probably thinks you're the reason. Bluebird said, you're ugly, your hair is like a mouse's, and your brown eyes look like sewage. Shoo replied, nothing is going on between Minicat and me, don't misunderstand. Bluebird said, why do idiots who hang around people with partners always say the same thing? It's tiring, so come up with a better excuse before I scar your face. In the next moment, Minicat arrived and said, you can continue what you were doing. Bluebird asked, does that mean you'll listen to me now? Minicat replied, I'm into women, but I'm not into you. Bluebird asked, what are you doing? Minicat replied, it's none of my business if you kill Cabbage, but you can't do that today. My chair is broken. You see? Shoo thought. Chair, Minicat said. Let's go, Bluebird thought. Then why did you say that to me? After that, Shoo said, I need to tell you something important. I know it's a bit sudden, but I've been in a lot of trouble lately. I'm telling you this in advance. By the way, all you'll need to do is pretend. Minicat asked, can I listen to this while I sleep? Shoo shouted, no, don't sleep. I'll say it now. She thought, I felt it in my bones when Bluebird came at me. I need someone to look after my back. If Minicat becomes my prison wife, other inmates won't bother me. What do I do next? After getting down on one knee, then she asked, Minicat, will you be my prison wife? Minicat replied, sorry. Shushu thought. She didn't even say, get lost. A polite refusal hurts even more. Minicat told her, I already have a wife. Shushu asked, who? Minicat replied, a mailbox. On the other hand, Bluebird thought, you said you can't date her because you have a roommate. Weren't you implying that I should get rid of Cabbage? So why? Sugar came and asked, do you need my help? Cabbage wants Minicat to be her prison wife. Since they're in the same room, it's easy for them to get close. If I were you, I'd use a surefire method like this. Bluebird asked, but why are you giving this to me? Sugar replied, I just want Cabbage to have a hard time. In the next scene, Bluebird bumped into Shushu and said, be careful next time. Shushu replied, why, sorry. After that, Bluebird thought, goodbye, Cabbage. After some time, Shushu thought, what is this? My head. I can't stand properly. It's hot but too cold. Sugar came over and said, you look like a dying mouse. Shushu replied, it's already so unfair that I was wrongfully accused, but now I'm going to die in prison. Sugar continued, it's all right. I won't let you die, that is. Later, Limmel thought, I knew things would blow up someday. Aside from the fact that the head of the family is a genius, he's probably stupid in areas he has no interest in. Isn't it too naive of him to rule out the possibility of a same-sex relationship? This looks like some crazy love fight that began with no reason. After that, he said, I told you it shouldn't have been done this way. Edwin replied, I was wrong to send you to prison. I should have sent you to a mental hospital. I really can't let things drag on any longer, Limmel thought. It seems like the annoying stalking I've had to do is finally coming to an end. Edwin asked, is Miss Gonelli still alive? Limmel replied, well, that woman is. It looks like she's still alive, since I spotted a grocery delivery person at her house. Then he thought, she never sent a letter, even though her daughter was arrested for murder, and became a recluse because of her husband's death. What a character. Edwin stated, does Miss Gonelli want to stop living? Limmel replied, I'm sorry, I don't quite understand. Edwin said, I need to make an appointment with Miss Gonelli. No, with her delivery man. Then he remembered when he was a kid, the butler came and asked, I'm so glad you're safe. You're not hurt anywhere. I'm so glad. Young master, have you seen the head of the household and the lady? Do you know where the young miss is? Edwin replied, I don't know, then thought. Time flows regardless of what happened in the past. I rarely dwell on pointless things, yet I find myself unable to fully escape the past. If I had to point out the biggest reason for this, it would be the girl I met in the spring when I turned 11. Then he asked, are you my guardian's daughter? Based on your appearance, I assume you are the daughter of one of the kitchen staff or a beggar. Shushu replied, my mom is Gonelli. Edwin spoke, all right then, take me to Lady Gonelli's room. After that, Shushu said, Mom, Edwin wants to meet you, are you listening? Edwin told her, I don't think she can hear you, why don't you open the door? Something might have happened to her, then thought, this is a waste of time. Shushu said, Mom's room is always locked, sorry, it looks like Mom doesn't want to come out. Edwin thought, but I will have to live here until I become an adult. He replied, I will come back later then, and thought, come to think of it, this kid also lost her dad recently, but she's pretty lively, maybe she's just thoughtlessly naive. After that, Edwin thought, as if to belittle my thoughts, aside from the day she came to the living room to sign the guardian papers, Gonelli never left her room again. In the next scene, Edwin said, she's just like a mouse, locked in her room, she hasn't come out in 6 months. Shushu replied, that's because Mom is very sad. Edwin replied, isn't that considered a mental illness? Your mother has gone bonkers. Then thought, I didn't say anything wrong, so why does she look that way? I'm living fine, even though all of my family is dead. Her daughter is still alive, and she still has her reputation as a skilled genius, but she's all broken because her husband is dead. It's pathetic. Is the death of her husband, who she shares no blood with, that important to her? I will never end up that way. After some days, Shushu said, it's all right, it's not your fault. Now, back in the present time, Edwin thought, if something happens to Shushu, what happened that day? I am not confident that I won't end up like her mother in a situation like that, just like a criminal on death row loves the sky they see for the last time, or someone about to drown longs for their last air bubble. I was in love with Shushu. A few months ago, Minicat thought, idiots, do they really think magic is all-powerful? Henrain is Minicat's original name, Henrain thought. My father used to have a tiny soft spot for me. The lady said, your mother is like the Snow Queen, you also have white hair, like the Snow Queen. Henrain thought, the reason was quite simple. I was the only one among my siblings who had the same white hair as my mother. Regardless, if you asked whether my father loved me, that is as absurd as it gets. The enraged Snow Queen held out her 3 children. The man shouted the name of the first child, but he refused to let go of his lover's hand. The Snow Queen also threw the second child out of the carriage, along with the man's heartbroken cry. The second son also turned to snow and melted in an instant. Still, the man refused to get off the magic reindeer. The Snow Queen fiercely frowned and finally brought the third child out through the carriage window. The name of the child that fell soon after was Henrain. After that, Jackie came and said, His Excellency, the Prime Minister, has called for you. Henrain asked, Old man? Jackie replied, Yes, your grandfather. Because of him, I, your aide, even wore a full uniform at this break of dawn. In the next scene, the secretary shouted, You can't just go inside, Your Excellency, Sugar said. The Prime Minister's office needs some quiet. All done. Henrain stated, Just let him in. The old man will be anxious without his guardian. The Prime Minister asked, Who is whose guardian? Stop your unsavory jokes immediately. This matter concerns the nation's destiny. If we succeed, it will change the history of Euspolia, and if we fail, it will start a huge war. Henrain replied, The romance novel I read yesterday started that way, Sugar said. I have a gift for you. These are polyrocks that Senior Henrain grew himself. Henrain told him, It's good for your health, so boil and drink it. You might even be reborn. It's a poisonous flower. The Prime Minister shouted, You idiot. In the next moment, the bowl vanished. Sugar told him, This is S-rank magic. We can even change people's genders. Henrain asked, Just tell me what I need to do. The Prime Minister said, This idiot child. That's no way to talk to your grandfather. Read this. Henrain thought, Gonelli Maley, Edwin Isadok. The Prime Minister continued, That sly Isadok punk. It looks like he's making a real move this time. The 3 of you will have to go to Rogwan. Henraid thought, The indigenous people of the Western Plains have long since tamed hyenas to protect their livestock. Their method is quite simple. After the hunter catches and binds the hyena leader, they keep it in a rock cave, lock the entrance, and isolate it from the other hyenas. Then, after a few weeks, the owner of the livestock feeds and gives the leader water, miraculously saving it right before death. When the leader is returned to its cackle, the cackle will never attack the livestock of the owner who saved their leader. Humans are no different from hyenas. The problem is, the hunters don't agree on something. Jackie asked, You don't know what you did wrong. Do you really not know? Sugar asked, Is that something to be so mad about? Jackie said, You chose a drug that was too strong. You made her so high that she almost went up to the heavens. Sugar replied, It's better than giving her something weak. Do you want me to be stingy and give our white lady for her first experience? Jackie shouted, What if she had died? What is the point of my efforts, then? She asked, Should we really be going to such lengths to do this to that woman? Henraid thought, I never saw her as someone worrisome, but it seems there is something that has yet to be revealed. Then he said, The important thing is not that moment. The most important thing right now is the one behind her. News arrived in Euspolia that Rogwan is using the hereditary information of magicians to prepare a lethal weapon against magicians. The person behind it is believed to be an individual who has maintained contact with the military authorities. The Prime Minister is certain that Edwin has secured a magician's genetic code. Either way, as long as she can bring out Edwin, it won't be difficult to hang around this dumb cabbage for a while. Jackie asked, What's so funny? Henraid said, I was wondering when to bring out the hyena. This fearful beast will be freed soon. 10 years ago, at the Meili family mansion, Shushu thought, I am thirsty. Then she overheard a conversation where her mother was saying, did the military authority notice anything? If that foolish captain had noticed, he would have immediately dragged me to the military authorities. Suddenly, all of them looked at her. Her mother asked, what are you doing? How much did you hear? Stop mumbling and tell me. How much of it did you hear? Shushu replied, I didn't hear anything. Ganeli stated, if you had heard something, I wouldn't let you go scot-free, even if you were Lu's daughter. Shushu thought, but I am also your daughter, Mom, so why don't you see me? Next scene, Shushu thought, how long has it been since I was locked in the solitary cell? At first, I liked it because it was quiet. However, looking at white walls for over a week became annoying. When I leave, I will make sure to avoid the other prisoners. After that, Cuckoo shouted, those idiots, I need to kill them. All those sorcerer pieces of trash should be burned. Oh dear, but it is a shame that something like that happened. Shushu thought, I heard dementia was kicking in for her. I guess it is true. She is Ugwell's oldest prisoner. Then she said, sorry to interrupt, but could you return the books? Cuckoo spoke, young kid, have we met before? I remember your dumb yellow eyes. Shushu said, this is my first time in prison. Cuckoo stated, I have definitely seen you in the evergreen forest where the cuckoo was born. Minicat came and asked, we have to go. After that, Shushu said, do you have something to say to me? Minicat replied, no, I can't leave because that granny is scary. Shushu replied, but it looks like she is afraid of you. Then she thought, I would be able to get some peace of mind in the library. Bluebird, the one who drugged me, is a problem. I guess she did that because of Minicat. Shushu asked, do you know why Bluebird hates me? Minicat replied, I have no clue, but I do know that she drugged you. Shushu asked, what? Why didn't you tell me? Minicat said, why should I? Shushu spoke, I want to be on good terms with you. Minicat asked, good terms? I don't stay on good terms with people I am not sleeping with. Do you want to sleep with me? Shushu replied, that's a little extreme. Minicat asked, didn't you say you wanted to be my prison wife the other time? Shushu replied, that is because it was necessary. Have you changed your mind? Minicat spoke, I don't want to be wives with someone who doesn't even like me. Do you like me? Shushu replied, yes, I like you, but that does not mean I like you enough to sleep with you. Minicat asked, then how much do you like me? Then they started kissing. Shushu thought, what is that, a piercing? Then Minicat said, it's a rule, close your eyes when we kiss, and I'll treat you very nicely. Suddenly, Shushu shouted, are you crazy? Why would you kiss me without asking? Minicat asked, did you hate it, and thought, you're pretty into it though. Shushu said, because you left out the most important thing regarding kissing. She thought, even though there's no love, it should at least be consensual. Minicat asked, should we have taken off our clothes? Shushu replied, if you had done that, I would have killed you instead. Minicat said, don't look so mad. Shushu told her, I am mad because of you. Minicat said, it's sad to hear that from my wife. Shushu asked, wife? So now we're wives? When did that happen? I thought you said you don't want to be wives with someone who doesn't like you. Minicat replied, at least you like me enough to kiss me. Shushu was blushing. Next scene, Sugar asked, do you think Edwin has a prison fetish? He keeps on requesting a meeting, even though you've refused him several times. Jackie also asked, right, or are you making him curious about you on purpose? Shushu replied, that's not it. Then she thought, if I hastily accept his meetings, Edwin could have a negative article published about him. I do feel bad that I have to keep declining his request for a meeting. After that, Edwin asked, you were admitted to the hospital recently. How are you doing? Your hands and legs aren't shaky, are they? You're not seeing hallucinations, right? Shushu replied, I'm fine. The treatment must have worked well. Don't worry too much. They're investigating to find out who's responsible. I tried to act like I was okay so that you wouldn't worry last time. But now I've gotten used to living in this place. I know quite a few people too. I've also been going to the library lately. I've become interested in looking at picture books about birds. Edwin asked, birds? Shushu, with a lie, said, don't you remember me from the forest? Suddenly, she read the instructions. All phone calls are recorded under close supervision. Then she thought, that day, regardless of my hazy vision due to the pain, I saw it clearly, Edwin and magic. Then she said, anyway, I wanted to tell you to stop requesting meetings with me. I don't want it to ruin your reputation. Edwin replied, you know that's not a problem. What if I found a way to get you out of prison, as the head of the Isadok household? Shushu asked, have you found the real criminal? Edwin replied, no, that's not it, but if there were a way I could get you out, no matter what, would you be okay with that? Shushu thought, it would be a lie if I said I didn't want to leave this place. But since I am already branded as a murderer, can I really go on with my life as if nothing happened? Then she replied, I can't believe it until the real criminal is found and my name is cleared. That way, it won't seem unfair to the late Ho. Edwin said, all right, but I can't help but worry. Submit my phone call requests. Shushu replied, of course, he said, preparations should be done by now. Limmel replied, yes, sir, it looks like the delivery man kept his promise. He was paid the price of a house just to hide and deliver a frequency device. You could have just asked me to do it. Edwin said, you can't, that woman knows you're my secretary. Limmel asked, is she not dejected that she doesn't have her house? Edwin replied, just because she locks herself up in her room doesn't mean she doesn't know anything. According to the frequency device, there are two people, one is Ganel, and the other is. Limmel said, they have shown no movement so far. Are they a doll? Edwin replied, they could be a corpse. Limmel said, the smell of a corpse would be enough to keep people away from the neighborhood. Edwin told him, Ganel is someone who can easily prevent a corpse from decomposing, or they might not even be human at all. 30 years ago, Lu came and asked, did you see a document with the name Ru written on it? It's an assignment I've been preparing for the past month. Ganel replied, if you are looking for a document, I incinerated it, according to the inner library manual. Lu was shocked. What? Librarian, what do you mean? No matter how uneducated you may be, how could you burn an important document without checking its content? What in the world have you done? This is why I don't hire paupers. I apologize in her stead. Student, this cleaner will be fired immediately. Lu replied, I am completely fine. It's my fault for forgetting it here. This person will help me remake the assignment. After that, they started preparing the assignment. Then, during one of their chats, Lu asked, do you like flowers? Ganel replied, not really. Their seeds become trash as time passes. The next day, Ganel thought about the flowers. Later, Lu asked, why don't you have lunch ready? Ganel replied, I don't have money to buy my lunch. Lu asked, you can have mine for today, and then we can buy lunch together next time. Ganel asked, why? Lu replied, because there's no point in having lunch if it's not with you. The next day, Ganel said, I got some lunch. Lu replied, could you start eating first? I'll join you once I'm done with this part. Ganel asked, will it take a long time? Lu replied, I'm not very good at chemistry. I have to submit it before the end of the week. Ganel said, could you tell me exactly what you need to submit? Lu replied, anything related to industrial chemistry is fine. It doesn't need to be complicated. I just need to focus on the basic theories. Ganel asked, if I do the chemistry assignment for you, will you eat your meal? Lu replied, no, you don't have to do that. I'll always eat with you regardless. Ganel said, still, if you can't finish it on time, I won't be able to have dessert with you. After a few days, Lu asked, did you do all of this in just 2 weeks? Ganel replied, yes, I wrote it using the books in the library and research materials as references. Lu exclaimed, how? Ganel, you're a genius. You managed to complete an assignment of this level in such a short time. Thanks to you, I'm not going to fail. The next day, Ganel thought, it tastes good. Is it because it was made with fresh ingredients by a master chef, or something else? Then she asked, so, how did the assignment go? Lu replied, to be honest, it didn't go as well as I hoped. Ganel asked, why? The basic theory was perfect. Was there an error in my application method? Lu replied, no, that's not the problem. The professor was surprised. He thought it was good enough to earn me a scholarship. He asked me to explain it, but I told him the truth. Do you understand what this means, Ganel? That means you're a genius. You created a theory even the professor hadn't thought about. If it gets developed further, You might win the Eloban prize, Lu said. So, do you have time tomorrow? And that was the beginning of people's admiration for Ganel. However, she had now turned her back on the accomplishments she achieved and the praise she earned, but his words made her shine for the first time in her life, a warmth she held onto preciously until now. Edwin spoke. It's been a while. You're wrong. It's a lot messier than I expected. Why did you cut your hair? You used to have long hair, Ganel replied. Because Lu liked it. Since I don't need it anymore, I made a pill to get rid of it. Edwin said, the reason you stay locked up in your room without going out, is this it? Shushu is in prison now, isn't she your daughter? Ganel replied, I gave birth to her naturally, and I confirmed her at birth with my own 2 eyes, so stop asking stupid questions. Edwin said, a dead person will not come back to life. The research you're currently doing is more useless than your hair. Ganel asked, then what about what you're doing? Your uncle's wife, Lieutenant General Tail Globert. Why are you walking right into a trap? Edwin left the room, thinking, a curse, this is not a fire. This feels more like a curse. Is it really a curse? Just because she's locked up in her room doesn't mean she doesn't know anything. Why am I walking right into a trap? How did she know? On the other hand, Minicat asked, what are you doing? Shushu replied, I got it from the store. It's a tomato plant. Wouldn't it be better to leave it by a window with good sunlight? Suddenly, Minicat started kissing her. Shushu asked, what are you doing? Why would you lick me like that when you're not a dog? Minicat replied, I'm not a dog but a cat. By the way, we can do it as 2 humans instead. Come here. Then they started kissing again. Shushu said, wait, I can't breathe. The next moment, she was on the bed, and thought, wait, why is the mood like this? Then she said, I told you before, I'm not having intercourse with either someone of the opposite or the same gender. Minicat asked, what were you expecting? I'm not into something like that. I don't do non-consensual sex. Shushu shouted, after setting the mood. The kiss earlier wasn't consensual either. Minicat replied, because kissing is just having a taste. You seem to enjoy my kisses. After that, Shushu thought, how is she so brazen, so annoying? What kind of environment did she grow up in to have that attitude? At first, I thought she was the troublemaker of some noble family. She doesn't seem to care about how she looks. Then she asked, I'm curious, why do you have a piercing on your tongue? Minicat replied, because there was a hole in my tongue. Shushu thought, shouldn't it be the other way around? Then she asked, why was there a hole in your tongue? Minicat replied, there was a needle next to my dad. Shushu said, I see, then asked, tomorrow is visiting day. Do you have anyone coming to visit you? Minicat replied, no one. They're all dead, and the only one left sent me here. Why doesn't your family visit you? Are they dead too? Shushu replied, no, that's not it. I guess she's just too sad to do so. Minicat said, what a lousy reason. In the next scene, Edwin asked, how's life in prison? Is there really nothing going on? Shushu replied, yes, nothing. She thought, even though we're pretty much family, I can't tell him that I was kissed by my prison roommate. Then she said, time went by quickly, I should get going now. Shushu thought, it's obvious that other inmates stopped bothering me after Minicat became my prison wife, but I have a different problem now. My heart won't survive this. She wasn't joking when she said she treats the girls she wants to sleep with nicely, but if I really end up doing it with Minicat? No, I'm also at fault for being swayed by the mood. Suddenly, she heard Bluebird shouting, why aren't you coming? I'm in prison, but you won't even visit me. It's always work, work, work. All you care about is work. Mom, it's always like this, we're family. But why is it so hard for her to visit me once? Shushu asked, are you all right? Your hand is bleeding. Bluebird slapped her, then shouted, who the hell are you? I'm already so angry. Why are you trying to mess with me, you freaking idiot? Shushu thought, I didn't do anything wrong. Why is everyone being like this to me? Shushu said, stop. Suddenly, the guard came and shouted, what are you two doing? In the next scene, Bluebird said, it hurts. Why did you try to talk to me? Shushu replied, I heard you quarreling with someone over the phone, and your hand was bleeding. Bluebird responded, what a saint. If it wasn't for Minicat, you would have been slammed headfirst into the ground. And I heard you rejected a visit. You're so lucky. You'll never understand what it feels like to be abandoned in a foreign country. Shushu replied, only one person comes to visit me. My dad passed away, and my mom never left her room even when I was imprisoned. Bluebird asked, how bad is your relationship with your mom? Shushu replied, I don't know. It's been 2 years since the last time I talked to her. Bluebird asked, are you sure she's not dead? Your house is really a mess. Shushu replied, she's not dead. She still gets groceries delivered to her. Bluebird said, I already feel so wronged for being locked up in this prison, but the drugs here are so good. Shushu said, you ended up here because you had an accident while overdosed on drugs, so isn't it expected that your mom isn't giving you any attention right now? Why don't you send her a letter saying you'll stop doing drugs? It's bad that your mom didn't come to see you, but this time it's your fault. Bluebird said, are you asking to get beat up again? And what do you know? To send a letter to my mom. I need an outrageously priced special stamp. How am I supposed to get that in prison? Shushu asked, if I get the stamp for you, will you quit drugs? Bluebird replied, do you know how much that stamp costs? It costs as much as a car in this country. Shushu told her, don't worry, I have a plan. In the next scene, Minicat asked, are you on drugs again? Why are you still going to help her? Do you have a thing for getting beat up? Shushu replied, that's not it. I know it looks strange, but she promised me she'd quit drugs if I got her the stamp, and I know all too well what it's like to be neglected by family. Minicat asked, do you have to help everyone? Shushu said, I don't consider this to be helping. I just want to do whatever I can. Minicat asked again, what's the point? Shushu replied, you said something similar to what my mom would say. After that, Shushu thought, if I get one of those stamps, Bluebird will quit drugs. They're doing a body search, but I can't give up so easily. Then she said, officer, the stamp is so pretty, could I please have one as a souvenir? The officer replied, that's such a good question, you wish. Shushu thought, I'm screwed. After some time, Shushu thought, what do I do now? I told Bluebird I would get her a stamp so confidently. I should try again tomorrow. How long will the stamp program last again? Then she asked, who is it? Wait, Minicat, she shouted, what are you doing there? Then thought, I must be going crazy. Why am I shy when we are both women? Minicat asked, so did you get the stamp? Shushu replied, no, not yet. Minicat said, then take this. Shushu asked, how did you hide it? They even checked our mouths, so I couldn't hide it. Minicat asked, want me to tell you? Shushu thought, it's a rule, close your eyes when we kiss, then I'll treat you nicely. That's what Minicat said. The humid air of the shower room and the bitter taste of their mouths lingered. Minicat said, I like it. How obedient you are. Shushu thought, even if I end up meeting someone outside of prison someday, I probably won't be able to forget this kiss. On the other hand, Edwin remembered a time in the past. He thought, I can't sleep because of the thunder. His mother came and said, I'm glad you're still Edwin, my child. Edwin thought, why is mother here so late at night? His father also came and asked, you're here to see Edwin? Mother replied, I had a really scary dream, so I thought of our child. Father told her, it's fine, Edwin is still safe. Mother asked, what if he also changes like them? I'm so scared our Edwin will become like them. Father stated, I still have a plan. Luckily, Edwin is not our heir. The heir of the Isodoc family is his elder sister. After that, Edwin thought, Mother, Father, who exactly are they? And why can't I be the heir when sister was only born 2 years earlier than me, if sister is gone? Now, back in the present, Edwin thought, I've dreamed about that day countless times. If I had asked my parents directly at that time, would things have changed? No, if I had never woken up from my sleep at that time. One thing is certain, though, the one who is cursed is not the entirety of the Isodoc family. Limmel came and told him. A letter was delivered in front. This time, it was sent by the head of the Felon family again. Edwin replied, all right. It looks like it's time to reply to my maternal grandfather. In the next scene, Jackie said, I guess the only person who can match the level of your empty banter would be Edwin. Shushu asked, how do you know him? Jackie replied, why are you so surprised? His requests for a meeting were rejected 8 times. Did you think there wouldn't be any rumors? Shushu stated, you both seem to have a lot of interest in my meetings. I'm sure you have more important things to do instead, Jackie replied. Why don't you tell that to your scientist friend? Is he a pathetic virgin? Shushu shouted, don't say that. That's sexual harassment. Don't say that about him. Suddenly, Minicat hit her in the head, said, that hurts. Jackie replied, I'm the one who got hit, so why are you hurt instead? Minicat said, of course it hurts me. You're the one who ran your head into my hand, Jackie said. I'm done. Feel free to avoid me. After that, Minicat said, I protected your dear young master from sexual harassment. Shushu asked, why are you mad? Minicat replied, thanks to you. I know what it feels like to be cheated on by a wife, but I'm not married. After that, Sugar read a note written by Minicat. Why is he so bad at keeping secrets? Sugar thought. It looks like it will start soon. Then she said, everything is going according to plan. It looks like Cabbage has no feelings for Edwin. We should use this to our advantage. Why do you seem so upset? Minicat replied, I'm not sure. Sugar said, we don't have much time. The target will make a move tomorrow. 10 years ago, the Prime Minister said, there is a false rumor, spreading that the perpetrators of the Isadok fire incident in Rogwan were Euspolians. As a result, the reputation of our country has been greatly damaged. We hereby condemn the country in question for spreading false information without fact-checking, and we announce that we will respond sternly to this. After that, he thought, things seem to be turning out for the worst. The ones who are having a hard time, because of the Isadok family incident are us. All this time, the Isadok couple had been secretly communicating with us. I sent Aaron to do some digging, but it hardly helped. It has nothing to do with Euspolia. What exactly happened in Rogwan? After that, Minicat thought, I had seen that before from my father, and then I realized that love was not a seed to nurture new life or build a sweet future, but rather an emotion with a foul, sooty stench that would ultimately decay everything around it. Ganel was just as obsessed with love as my dad. Growing up in that environment, Shushu must have witnessed how unsightly and messed up love can be. But why is she so eager to offer affection to others? Why is she not disappointed or hateful, but keeps giving endless love? It bothers me. If she still doesn't understand what love is yet, then I will have to teach her. That's right. I will deeply engrave on Shushu's body the unsightliness. After that, Shushu thought, it's still late. Why am I awake? What's wrong? It tickles. Suddenly, she thought, what is going on? Isn't that Minicat? Henraid spoke. My wife, Shushu thought. That voice, is that Minicat's? Has it always been this deep? Henraid continued. Come to think of it, I don't think I've ever kissed you at night. Shushu, startled, shouted, who are you? And thought, since when was Minicat this tall? Henraid replied, what do you mean? I'm your wife, of course. Shushu said, what are you talking about? You don't look like my wife at all. Then thought, what's happening? Am I dreaming? If this is a nightmare, I need to wake up now. Henraid sighed, how disappointing. You're the one who suggested this in the first place. Shushu, confused, replied, me, when did I do that? Wait, before arguing with you like you're my wife, no matter how I look at you, you're a man. Henraid asked, does that matter? My presence remains the same. Shushu replied, your appearance isn't the same at all. You're so much bigger. She added, what are you doing? Henraid said, if you don't like it, just tell me. Like I've said before, I'm not interested in forcing anything. Shushu remembered that Minicat had said the same thing once and wondered, could it be? She asked, are you really Minicat? Henraid responded, who knows, you'll have to figure it out. The atmosphere grew warmer between them. Henraid commented, this is actually your first time, isn't it? You're so cute, there's no need to be scared. Shushu hesitantly replied, this feels strange, a bit uncomfortable. Henraid reassured, I wouldn't say that, you haven't stopped me, and it seems like you're curious. Shushu asked again, you really are Minicat, right? You're my wife. Henraid nodded, all right, because you're my wife, I'll make sure you feel comfortable. They shared a kiss, and the moment deepened. Afterward, Henraid said, I know it's your first time, but I didn't expect you to feel this strongly so quickly. Shushu, uncertain, asked. What do you mean? Henriette asked. How does it feel? Shushu replied. I'm not sure. It feels strange, like something is stirring inside. Henriette replied. Then let's see how it goes. Shushu was unsure of her feelings, whispering, wait. Henriette responded. Well, everything here tells me to keep going, but only if you're comfortable. He added, this is something I thought you'd eventually learn alone, but this way, you might feel closer and more connected. Henriette continued. I was going to teach you how to do it on your own, but it looks like you won't be able to do these things alone again. Shushu replied. This feels kind of strange. Is this really a dream? It's too vivid to be a dream. Henriette replied. Well, don't worry about such trivial things, Shushu thought. If this dream is really because of my desires, what kind of feelings do I have for Minicat? After some time, Shushu woke up and thought, did I sleep like this? But I'm still wearing clothes, so if anyone else saw me, it's fine. Minicat asked. What's up? You were tossing and turning in bed, making so much noise that you even woke me up. Shushu replied. Sorry, then thought, if this is the Minicat I know, then was that really a dream? I can't meet her eyes. Then she said, I had such a vivid dream, and thought, why is my pillow so wet? Minicat asked, what's wrong? Shushu replied, it's nothing. I must have drooled while sleeping. Minicat told her, you must have had a delicious dream. On the other hand, an officer shouted, I know you're there, you haven't been in the library. How long will you keep yourself locked in there? It's been days already, hurry up and answer me. Cuckoo replied, no, I only delivered justice, that's all I did. 10 years ago, one of the police officers said, search everywhere, don't lose them, the arsonist must be somewhere around here. Cuckoo thought, damn it, I could have burned those filthy, detestable people to ashes all at once, but the plan failed. I shouldn't have to run away for killing a sorcerer. No, it's fine. I just need to prepare better next time, I need to get out of here. Suddenly, she thought, what is this? A person spoke, this is how the world works, all plans eventually crumble in unforeseen ways. Just like now, Cuckoo said, you rat-like idiot. The person replied, it's a shame, I'm not a rat but a sorcerer, I should be the one calling you a rat, hiding around in an alley like this. Cuckoo said, I was merely executing justice, those hiding idiots like you deserve to be killed. The person replied, I can't bear to listen to you any longer. I wish I could just kill you here and dispose of your corpse in an instant, but unlike your peanut-sized brain, the weight of your body is too heavy. Cuckoo shouted, what are you planning to do? Let's talk things out first. Please save me. The person told her, unfortunately, I don't have much time for that. In the next moment, she was down. The person stated, remember this, the next time you see me will be your last. Now, back in the present time, Cuckoo thought, that's right, that man eventually found me, that idiot brought him to me. The officer told her, don't you dare play around again, or else I'll drag that man you keep mentioning right in front of you. After some time, Cuckoo thought, she'll definitely bring him here, that idiot will. That yellow-eyed one, I'm sure I've seen her before, when was it, where? Suddenly, Minicat came in and said, why don't we have a little talk? In the next moment, Cuckoo was on the ground. In the next scene, Sugar said, she's going crazy, right? Minicat replied, she is, but there's something else as well. Someone among our superiors messed with this woman's head. I only saw them for a short while, so I couldn't see their face. Jackie said, only an A- grade sorcerer and above can mess with other people's memories. Why would someone like that come all the way to Rogwan? Suddenly, he asked, was it a forbidden love, so he had to erase her memories? Minicat replied, well, we'll find out as we go. Jackie asked, can't you find out? Minicat replied, I could, but I'd have to wreck her brain. If I did that, this woman would really become an idiot. Jackie said, I was just wondering how things were going with your wife. Minicat asked, why would you want to know that? Jackie replied, just like you ordered last time. I investigated the incident involving your wife. She was even proven innocent in court, but something weird happened. The murdered victim is alive. Minicat said, you never know, she could have jumped out of the coffin herself, since she died unfairly. What a pity. Jackie replied, Someone who feels pity wouldn't have such an excited look on their face. Meanwhile, at the Felon family mansion, Connor said, "My cute grandson has arrived." Edwin replied, "Of course, it's been a long time, grandfather." After some conversation, Connor asked, "Did you read the letter? You couldn't give me a complete reply because you've been busy lately." Edwin replied, "Of course, I read every word of the letter." Connor said, "Now you're the only person left in this world to send me a reply, but there were many things in your letter that I didn't get a response to. Why don't you have a pleasant conversation with me sometime?" Limmel thought, that sly old man, that letter, at first glance, looks like a normal conversation between a grandfather and his grandson, but it's all in code. It means the weapon against Euspolia has already been completed. The fire incident that happened at the Isidok family mansion took the two countries by storm, and the rumor began that the fire was the work of Euspolia. The Prime Minister of Euspolia at the time denied any involvement of Euspolia in the fire incident, but the people refused to accept it. Grandfather asked, "Why don't we do something together today?" Edwin replied. "Thank you for the offer," he replied, "but I already have an appointment for today." Grandfather asked, "An appointment, with whom?" Edwin replied, "With the one who used to be my guardian, Miss Ganel." In the next scene, Bluebird asked, "Why are you looking at me like that?" Shushu replied, "I need to ask you something, but if it's an invasive question, you don't have to answer, you're the only one I'm asking." Bluebird said, "What's the question?" Shushu asked, "When was the first time you felt sexual desire?" Bluebird replied, "So you're asking me when was the first time I got turned on by someone else? Why are you suddenly asking me that? Don't you get turned on by Minicat? You should have told me that sooner. Should I tell you how to make her stay far away from you? I know a really good method." Shushu said, "That's not it. To be honest, I saw Minicat in my dream, but she was a man, so it was a bit confusing. I was just wondering if you would know why." Bluebird replied, "That's no fun." Shushu thought, "She got dumped by Minicat, and now she's her biggest fan." Bluebird asked, "You're straight, right? You like men, so she appeared as a man in your dreams." Shushu said, "But I still feel embarrassed when I see her. My face turns red just by looking at her, and I get flustered." Bluebird asked, "Is there anyone who doesn't get flustered when they see her face? It's truly one of a kind. If you feel that it's a shame, you could try asking Minicat if she has any siblings. Who knows? She might have an older twin brother." Shushu told her, "I think you might need some moral reform too." Bluebird said, "To be honest, I used to," then added, "Never mind, I just wanted to say thank you for the stamp." After that, Shushu thought, "Am I really acting like this because of the dream? Minicat is just my prison wife. I don't know how to act around her now. Even though Edwin and I are friends, I have never imagined kissing Edwin before. I feel like I can still taste the bittersweetness from back then. Come to think of it, that was the first time I saw her without a halter neck. She seemed to have some kind of mark on her neck. Was it a scar? Stop it, what am I thinking about? Let's act normal." Then she asked, "So you were watering it? I forgot since I was busy today. Thank you so much. It's green. How did you do it? It was withering yesterday. You're really amazing. It's almost like magic." Shushu thought, "I got rejected when I plucked up the courage to ask her to be my wife, and she often says mean things. The small kindness and sweetness she shows from time to time is too sweet." Minicat asked, "Magic?" Shushu thought, "Why did I say that in front of someone from Euspolia?" Then she replied, "No. I mean my words were probably shocking to you. Sorry if I offended you." Minicat said, "Close your eyes so we can kiss." They started kissing. Shushu thought, "Her tongue is deeper today than before." After that, she asked, "Why do you tell me to close my eyes when we kiss?" Minicat replied, "Because it's our rule. For your sake, out of sight is out of mind. We'll leave this place someday." Shushu thought, "She's not wrong. Both of us will end up leaving this prison someday." Then she asked, "Would you want me to forget you?" Minicat replied, "You don't want to forget me, do you? Do you want to try then? You can do the dirty with me or not." Shushu replied, "I think I'm straight." Minicat said, "I'm also straight." Shushu replied, "Didn't you say you like women?" Minicat said, "I did say I'm attracted to women. Whatever works. You're getting turned on by me too." aren't you? What do you think? Wanna try doing it? Shushu said, I'm on laundry duty today. I almost forgot. Sorry, I'll have to go. After that, she thought, why did I have to think about that dream at that moment? I feel sorry for her, but I'm still unprepared in so many ways. Suddenly, she heard breaking news, the report that renowned scientist Ganel is under investigation for high treason against the nation has caused a huge stir. She was reportedly the subject of an arrest warrant. Shushu thought, Mom committed high treason against the nation. She thought back in time. Shushu asked, why do the people here have a rope around their necks? Lu replied, where did you get this book from? You're still 5 years old, so you can't read books like this. Ganel added, why are you bothering your father? Lu replied, that's right. She's allowed to ask questions, and she's curious. I'm just at a loss for how to explain it to her. 500 years ago, when magic was a strange and unknown entity, a deadly incident took place in Ragwan. 4,300 citizens were identified as sorcerers and were all killed. Although it was the middle of winter, the flames burning the corpses were as warm as spring, and people began to call this incident the Spring of January. At the time of the incident, the criteria for tracking down the sorcerers were none other than their lost names. Due to this, Shushu ended up taking her mother's name instead of her father's. Next scene, Tail Globert said, I'm sure you've noticed that Euspolia is currently making Kihelman, who used to be a commoner, into a self-made entrepreneur, and he has entered politics to become prime minister. He wants to change the political system and seems to be channeling the sentiments of the confused public. Now, he's creating external enemies, and our authorities won't just sit still and watch. So, we have to prepare against those mean sorcerers. You know about the sorcerer killing virus you researched, Ganel replied. That research has failed. Then she explained about the research and its failures. In the end, she said, no matter how perfect the virus may seem on paper, it's a pointless experiment if I can't remove the magic from the genetic information. I hate doing things without reason. Tail stated, if you need a reason, we'll make one. I'm sure you wouldn't want your happy newlywed life to end in shambles. Next scene, Ganel asked, why are you here? Edwin's mother replied, we came here to join hands with you. We also have an entity we wouldn't want to see hanged. The plan to protect precious entities was going smoothly in secret, but everything fell apart instantly. Now back in the present, Shushu asked, how on earth did this happen? Edwin, is it true that my mom is under suspicion for treason against the nation? Like this video. Hit the like button and subscribe for more videos.